Hi everyone, my name is Nishakan Tipom. Today I'm gonna talk about the ASEAN-EU relations. For the background of ASEAN-EU relations, refer to the bilateral foreign relations between the two organizations. The first one is the European Union or EU, and the second one is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN. EU and ASEAN have been interacting with each other on the economic, trade and political level for more than 4 decades. The partnerships between the EU and ASEAN date back to the 1972 when the EU became the first formal dialogue partner of ASEAN, and it was formally institutional following the signing of the ASEAN-EEC Cooperation Agreement on March 1980. EU and ASEAN consisting of the European Union, Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Burma, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. The EU interested in the ASEAN comes from the rapid economic growth of ASEAN in 1990. Thus, the EU tried to increase the role in Southeast Asia through the cooperation in various frameworks, such as ASEAN-EU or ASEAN Regional Forum (ARF), in which the European Union placed importance on the democracy, respect human rights, the rule of law, and free trade systems. However, ASEAN-EU relations were characterized by the dispute in 1990. The issue that undermining the relationships between ASEAN and EU is ASEAN accept Burma as a member, causing the EU protest by not participating in the negotiations at the ASEAN meeting for a period or ARF meeting. And at the ASEAN meeting, EU did not allow Burma to attend the meeting because EU seen that Burma there are issues on the democratic and human rights abuse. Nowadays, ASEAN and EU relations at the level of enhanced partnership, and they are creating a new ASEAN-EU plans of action 2018 to 2022, which was certified at the PMC+1 meeting with EU on 6 August 2017. So, EU has expressed intention to strengthen cooperation with ASEAN in all dimensions in terms of political, stability, economic, society, and culture, including the connection within ASEAN countries and enhancing the efficiency of working process of various ASEAN institutions. The European Union and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations continue to deepen their relations while working toward the establishment of the strategic partnership. The decision to upgrade relations was taken by the EU and ASEAN country foreign minister at the EU-ASEAN ministerial meeting on 21st January 2019. The second topic is about the ASEAN-EU cooperation in 3 dimensions. The first one is about the political and stability dimensions. EU interact with ASEAN in terms of politics and security through the participation in ASEAN Framework Conference on Political and Security Cooperation in ASEAN Pacific Regions or ASEAN Regional Forum (ARF), and through the other ASEAN-EU mechanisms such as ASEAN-EU Ministerial Meeting or AEMM for every 2 years, and Post-Ministerial Conference or PMC every year. And the third one is the ASEAN-EU SOM every 2 years. In addition, EU participate in the ASEAN plus EU senior official meeting on the Transnational Crime Consultation or SOMTC plus EU. So, EU is the first international organization that joined the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia or TAC on 12 July 2012. And participation in TAC of EU represents the EU commitment toward to the ASEAN for cooperate in the promoting peaceful security and stability in the regions. ASEAN political and security community is also support, for instance, through the EU-ASEAN Migrations and Border Management Program. Improved border management should lead to easy and faster crossing of border both in person and goods, while at the same time ensuring better control of transnational crime, illegal migration, and the trafficking of human beings. Through a member of worldwide EU programs, ASEAN and the EU cooperate in the area of energy and climate change, the protection of biodiversity, and promotion of good governance. For instance, the Global Climate Change Alliance or GCCA was created as an EU initiative to step up cooperation and dialogue between the EU and developing countries. They are hit earliest and hardest by climate change and have the least capacity to react. For the second dimension is about the economy. EU is an important trading partner of ASEAN. The EU is the ASEAN's second largest trading partner, while the ASEAN is the EU's fifth largest trading partner. Total trade in goods and services amount to $260 billion. Moreover, the EU is a major development partner of ASEAN and the biggest donor to the ASEAN, with over 200 million of grant funding in support of ASEAN region integration for the period 2014 to 2020. The EU facilitating the ASEAN economic communication had been a natural focus for the EU-ASEAN program since the 1990s. For instance, a new EU program will support the building of ASEAN single market and production base through the implementation of measures that will facilitate the free movement of goods across the ASEAN regions and ultimately enhance ASEAN connectivity. EU ARISE program around 15 million euro in 2012 to 2015. And in order to further improve trade between the two regions and to speed up ASEAN economic integrations, ASEAN and EU, there are mechanisms for economic discussion between each other. Frame of ASEAN Economic Minister or AEM and the EU Trade Commissioner and the ASEAN-EU Senior Economic Official or SEOM-EU. Since 2015, there are meeting ASEAN-EU Business Council in the parallel with AEM-EU Trade Commissioner. In 2015, the EU interested in reviving the ASEAN-EU FTA negotiation again, when ASEAN achieved the establishment of ASEAN Economic Community in parallel with the negotiation about the FTA with each ASEAN member country. After both suspend ASEAN-EU FTA negotiation in 2009, and EU turned to negotiate on the country by country, the EU is considered a building block to rebuild the FTA in regional level with ASEAN. Currently, EU concluded the FTA negotiation with Singapore in December 2012 and is in the process of negotiation with Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. For the advantage and disadvantage of ASEAN-EU FTA. Lecture by the Edmund W. from Hutton and William Company has concluded that advantage and disadvantage of ASEAN-EU Free Trade Agreement, both in terms of quantity and quality as follows. The first one, from the qualitative study, the expected benefit is increased export, import goods with lower price, increasing competition, cost goods cheaper, economic welfare and economic growth are higher. The disadvantage that may occur is sales decline, obstacle in price competition due to the spill of import product and adjustment costs such as pressure on wage and unemployment. However, when comparing the advantage are more than disadvantage, the government should support free trade agreement that will help reduce tax rates. The second one, from the quantitative study, by using the GTAP model, the study found that the short run, the first 2 to 3 years of ASEAN-EU FTA, the benefits received are not very clear, which is the value of Thai export will increase by $910 million, while the value of import will increase by the $1,002 million. But in the long run, 4 to 10 years after ASEAN-EU FTA, the benefit received are clearly. The value of Thai export will increase to $2,860 million, while the value of import will increase to $2,200 million. ASEAN and EU are in the process of negotiation with the ASEAN-EU Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement or CATA. If these negotiations are successful, it will be the first agreement of air transportation between region to region of the world. For the last dimension is about the social and cultural dimensions. EU support the operation to promote important social and cultural cooperation of ASEAN, such as the protection of women and children, integrating gender equality, promoting the participation of women and children in the decision-making process, anti-human trafficking, especially women and children, including the promoting of education, public health, science and technology, environment and disaster management, operation through the ASEAN-EU Dialogue Instrument or READI, providing support to the ASEAN social-cultural community, constitute a relatively new but growing area of EU-ASEAN cooperation. For instance, there is an increasing exchange of students and scholars between two regions. Each year, around 250 ASEAN students receive scholarships under the EU Erasmus Mundus program, and around 25 ASEAN scholars a year benefit from Marie Curie fellowships. Adding to this, the many scholarships provide the EU member more than 4,000 ASEAN students per year travel to Europe on EU scholarships. Furthermore, EU support the implementation of ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance on Disaster Management or AHA Center, European Community Humanitarian Aid Office or ECHO provide $299 million to the ASEAN region to bring relief to the millions of people whose lives were affected by the natural disaster, epidemic and conflict of humanitarian aid is provided in a variety of forms depending on the nature of the crisis. It can range from flood, clothes, healthcare, shelter, water and sanitation to emergency repair, to infrastructure, demining action, psychological support and education to anticipate the consequence of future disaster. The EU also funds disaster preparedness projects in the regions.